Good morning, folks. How are you today? I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today's stick mobility class. Appreciate you giving me time on a Saturday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. So for today's class, we are going to need access to 2 long sticks. And you'll also notice back here, I got a box. So last week, hey from Morocco, how you doing? So last week we did do some hip drills from a seated position. We did a little bit from standing. So now we're actually going to progress at least one of those drills. And what we're going to do is we're going to do lift-offs off that box. So if you have something relatively tall for you to utilize, it's going to be the perfect time to actually have that. We are also going to be focusing on hip extension, which is something that we actually didn't get into last week. And we're going to be getting into a little bit of hip abduction. So the Vitruvian man, we're going to use that today. And we're going to add in some movement along with that. So it's going to be a fun one. So we are also going to need a pad and a bench. So we are going to be getting into stretching out those anterior tissues before we actually even get into the hip extension drill. So the function of today's class is going to be a slight bit different. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with feet and ankles first. So we're going to go with a wide stance, wider than shoulder width here. I want my toes to be pointed forward. Stick is in line with the center line here. And I want to have my hands at roughly about sternum height. The stick doesn't really need to be angled in towards you much. We're just using it for balance here. So we're just going to really quickly go through a foot warm up. So we're going to go 1 foot at a time here. So from here, getting a nice good tall stance, I'm going to bring my right heel up, and I want to keep all 5 toes in contact with the floor. What I want you to do is I want you to shift to your right. And I want you to keep that weight on that right leg. Heel down, hover it off the floor, and then back up. That left heel stays down. Heel down, and then up. Good. Right heel down, and then heel up. Now we're going to shift that heel laterally, so left to right. So I'm going to shift my right heel in towards my center line, still leaning on that right side, and then I'm going to shift my heel out away from my center line. Then in, good, out. We're on that pinky toe here, in, on the big toe, good, out. Now we're on the pinky toe, back to center, drop that heel down. Now we're going to shift over to the other side. So shift onto that left leg, bring that left heel up, nice and high, down, hover it off the floor, back up, good, hover it, bring it back down, nice and slow, good, hover it up, excellent, let's go one more time, left heel down, hover it off the floor, and then back up, hold that tall position. Now we're going to shift that left ankle towards our center line, so we're on the big toe here. Now out, away, we're on the pinky toe. Good. In, big toe. Out, pinky toe. Good. In, one last time, and out. Excellent. Back to center, left heel down, shift back to center here. Stay in this position. We're going to focus on pelvic tilts. So I'm going to turn to the side. Feet are still wide. Nice, good, tall position. Hands are out. I'm going to angle the stick in towards me a little bit more, and I'm going to drive that stick down 30% here. Keep the shoulders down towards the hips, and I'm going to do a posterior tilt. So I'm going to squeeze my glutes, drive my knees apart, and then I'm going to do an anterior tilt. I'm going to tilt my pelvis the opposite way. So I want my front of my pelvis to tip down. Posterior tilt, drive the stick down 30%, anterior tilt. Posterior, anterior. Posterior tilt, anterior tilt. One more time, posterior tilt, anterior tilt. Good, back to center. Now we're going to turn forward. We're going to do something a little different here. What we're going to do is we're going to bump one hip up and do an anterior posterior tilt from that position. So we're going to have the stick in front here. We're going to drive that stick down 30%, and I'm going to bump my right hip up. So left hip should be dropping down towards the floor, And now I'm gonna do an anterior tilt, keeping my right hip bumped. So you're gonna feel that right low back and erectors fire. Now I'm gonna do a posterior tilt. Good. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Keep that right hip bumped up. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Good. Back to center. Now we're gonna bump the left hip up. Same thing. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Anterior. Good. Posterior. Anterior. Good. Posterior one more time. Excellent. Back to center and ease off. Excellent. Good. We're going to take our second stick here. We're going to stretch out those hamstrings and those adductors a little bit. So we're going to go with a wide stance. Wide is whatever's comfortable for you. You can always start off closer and then move your feet out a little wider if you start to feel pretty good or if you're pretty mobile. Now I'll have the bottom of the sticks angled out in front here, and I want my toes to be pointed forward as best as I can. If you have your toes pointed out, we kind of lose that stretch a little bit. So have your toes pointed forward. I'm gonna have my hands on the top of the sticks here. Slight bend to those knees, you don't wanna lock them. And then I'm gonna drive my hips back, reaching down towards the bottom of the sticks. And I wanna try to keep my back or my spine as neutral as I possibly can. You wanna breathe, you wanna sit back into it. The more you sit back into the stretch, the more you actually get a stretch on those hamstrings. Shift your hips forward, and then drive those hips back again. It's gonna feel good on the low back and the hammies. Shift forward, and then shift back again. Breathe. Excellent. Now I'm gonna shift forward. I'm gonna wiggle my feet in just a little, and I'm gonna shift my hips back again, and now I'm gonna shift over to my right. I'm gonna do a little bit of a Caustic Squat, driving off that left foot, shifting into the right side so I get more of a stretch on that left side, and then I'm gonna shift to my left, pushing off that right foot, sinking into that left hip here. Shift to the right, try to stay low. As you do it, shift to the left, driving off that right foot, shift to the right, breathe, and shift to the left. Back to center. Gonna walk your hands up into that nice tall position. Excellent. And wiggle those feet in. Good. Wonderful. Now we're gonna work with the spine. We always gotta warm up the spine, right? So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start off with the T-spine extension. It's one of my favorite drills. I'm sure you guys know this by now. I'm gonna turn to the side here. Now, when I'm going out to this drill, and I'll kind of show from the front, I'm gonna have my hands driving out, right? This is gonna really get into that thoracic area. So I'm gonna start with my feet roughly about shoulder width, toes pointed forward, bottom of the sticks are in line with midfoot. Notice there are only a couple of inches in front of the line of my toes here. My hands are gonna be about roughly shoulder height. You can always adjust your hands as you need to. Now from this position, I'm not driving the sticks down. I'm gonna extend my hands out, driving my hips back. And I wanna try to create as much length in the spine as I can. You should be feeling a nice big stretch on that thoracic spine. Breathe. Gonna come back up. Excellent. We're gonna do that again. Drive those hips back, extend those hands out. Remember, it's coming out of more of a Y type shape. Breathe. Excellent. Gonna come back up. Good, and ease off. We're gonna place one stick down, And we're gonna take this stick, place it behind the mid-back. Now we're gonna go with the split stance. We're gonna be going side to side, rotating. We're gonna add in pulling the stick apart to get that upper back nice and active here. So I'm gonna go with my left foot forward and my right foot back. I'm in a pretty big split here. If I turn to the side, I'm in a big split, right? So I'm gonna go with a relatively wide stance. You don't wanna have your feet too narrow, and I wanna keep that back heel nice and high. Now from here, I'm going to shift weight forward on that front leg. I effectively want my knee to be stacked over my ankle. Now from here, I'm going to hinge forward a bit and almost kind of create a straight line between my spine and my heel. And I'm gonna rotate the right end of the stick down in front, place it on the floor, and I'm gonna pull the stick apart at 30%. As I do that, that upper back is nice and active and I get a little bit more rotation. Excellent, ease off, come back to neutral. Now I'm gonna rotate the left end down, get it on the inside of my left leg, and I'm gonna pull apart again. Try to keep your right hip facing towards the floor if possible. Good, ease off, back to center, rotate the right end down, try to get further across if you can, pull apart. Breathe, ease off, back to center, rotate the left end down, pull apart. Excellent, ease off, come back to center, stand back up, and switch sides. So now I'm going to turn to the side. Now I'm going to go with my right leg forward here. Again, get in a nice big split. So we're going to do that same thing. Going to load that front leg here. Make sure that knee is stacked over the ankle. I'm going to hinge forward. Going to move this out of the way a little bit more. And I'm going to rotate that left end down, place it on the floor, pull apart. Breathe. Excellent, ease off, back to center, rotate the right end down, pull apart. Remember, try to keep that left hip facing towards the ground if you can. So you kind of have to turn your hip a bit. Ease off, back to center, rotate the left end down again, try to get further across, pull apart. Good, ease off, rotate the right end down, pull apart. Excellent, ease off, back to center, come up, good. Now we're gonna work with some rotation. And so for this drill, or a little bit more rotation I should say. So for this drill, we're gonna go with a wide stance, a little bit wider than shoulder width here. Toes are pointed forward, stick is in line with the center line here. I'm gonna have my left hand at about sternum height. My right hand's gonna be on top of the stick like so. So I'm in a position where my palm is actually on the stick because we're gonna use that right hand to drive out. So I'm gonna create a little bit of tension in that upper back. Now from here, bottom of the stick's angled in towards me a bit. I'm going to really drive that right hand out. So I'm gonna reflexively pull with the left and I'm going to go into a hinge. So kind of that same position we were in earlier. Now from here, I'm gonna rotate the stick to my right, driving that right hand out. So I get rotation, but I'm also creating tension in this rotated position. Gonna come back forward. And I'm gonna do it again. Rotate to the right. Make sure you're driving that right hand out. Excellent. Come back forward. One more time. Drive out. Good. Back forward. Come up. Excellent. Now we're going to switch sides. So right hand is on the stick, left hand's on top, driving that left hand out, create that tension. Hinge. I'm gonna rotate the stick over to the left, driving that left hand out hard. Trying to get as much rotation as we can. Back to center, rotate to the left again. Good. Back to center. Let's go one more time, folks. Rotate to the left. Back to center. And come back up. Excellent. Now, we're going to grab a bench or a chair and a pad. We're going to need this to kneel on. We're still going to stick with one stick for this one. So we're going to get into stretching out those anterior tissues before we get into our hip extension drill. We're going to do that from a standing position. Now, I'm going to start with my right foot on the bench or chair, whatever you happen to have. The top of my foot is on and my right knee is down. I want to have the stick effectively right in front of my right hip here. We're going to add in some rotation, so it's going to get a little gnarly here with the stretch. So I'm going to have my right hand up as high as I can, and we're going to go through a series of activation. I'm going to drive the stick into the floor, 20%. I'm going to drive my back foot into the bench, 20%, and now I'm going to do a posterior pelvic tilt. And now you're going to know some real good stretch on the front of that hip. Now from this position, I'm going to rotate my spine to my left, and then to the right. So we're adding a little bit of flossing here. Left, good, and right. Left, right, back to center. Excellent, ease off, assist yourself up, and then switch sides. So now we're going to go with that left side here. Sorry, need to adjust that. Left foot's on. We're going to do that same thing, sticks in front of the left hip. Left hand is up nice and high. We're going to drive the stick down with that left hand, drive the back foot into the bench, posterior pelvic tilt. Now we're going to rotate to the right. Breathe. Now left. Right. Good. Left. Excellent. Right. Good. And left. Back to center. And ease off. Going to go to a standing position. Okay. So we don't currently need a pad. We're going to need our second stick though. Now we're going to get into a nice big split stance. Now for this, it's really important that we control the pelvis as we work on this hip extension drill. So this is effectively an in-range strengthening drill. We're going to use the sticks to generate tension in the anterior tissues. We need to keep the pelvis in a posteriorly tilted position as we drive that back foot down. So it's going to be similar. We've done this before. It's been quite some time. I'm actually going to go with my right foot back. So we're in a pretty big split here. I'm going to have the bottom of the sticks in line with the arches of my feet here. And what I want to do, I'm going to generate 60% tension of driving the sticks into the floor. So I'm going to actually squat down, load the legs a bit here, right? Drive the sticks down 60%, keep those shoulders into the floor. Now from here, I'm going to do a posterior pelvic tilt. And now I'm going to drive that right heel back or extend that right knee as hard as I can. Hold that posterior tilt. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off by bending the knee. Now again, we're gonna get a stretch in the front of the hip, but we should be getting that right glute to fire. That's what we're going for here. So drive the sticks down 60%, posterior tilt, straighten that right knee, hard. 3, 2, 1, excellent, ease off. Let's go 2 more, then we'll switch sides. Drive the sticks down, posterior tilt, straighten that right knee. Do not change the positioning of your body. 3, 2, 1, excellent, ease off. Let's go last one. Drive the sticks down, posterior tilt, try straighten that right knee. Breathe, 3, 2, 1, excellent, and ease off. We're gonna switch sides. I'll actually turn forward for this next one here. So now my right foot is forward, sticks are lined up the same. I'm gonna load those legs again. So drive the sticks down, 60%, posterior tilt, and straighten that left knee, driving that left tilt back, breathe, 3, 2, 1, excellent, ease off. Let's go 3 more, sticks down, posterior tilt, straighten that left knee out, hold, 3, 2, 1, excellent, ease off. Let's go 2 more. Sticks down, posterior tilt, drive that left tilt back, straighten that left knee, hold, 3, 2, 1, excellent, ease off. Let's go 1 more time, folks. Sticks down, posterior tilt, extend that left knee, drive that left heel back hard. Breathe, 3, 2, 1, excellent, and ease off. Good. So not only are we actually getting a stretch, at the same time that we're activating, we're getting glute work. And with that one, again, adjusting your position to activate or connect better to those tissues is strongly advised. Now, this is where we have a box. This one's gonna be a very, very fun one. We are gonna do hovers here. Now, the thing about this is that you're more than likely gonna cramp. That's okay, that's normal. I typically cramp with this drill sometimes, because again, this is working on that in range. Now, I'm actually gonna kind of turn this to the side, just a smidge. Now we're gonna use the sticks to create as much tension into the ground as we can get. This is to, first of all, keep us in a much more upright position. Also, activate those anterior tissues. So, something I really want you guys to think about is that down leg, right? Whatever leg is down, you want to actually drive that foot into the floor, and you're going to be extending that knee. You don't want to bend, because that's typically the first thing that starts to go with this drill, or at least this type of drill. Now, I have the box on the 30-inch side. You can always start with something lower. You don't need to go as high, right? You can always progressively work up the height as you want to. Now, I'm gonna start with my right foot on the box here. Now, you're gonna need to adjust your position to make sure you're not super far back or your legs are super far back, so you wanna keep that balance here. Now, from here, you need to keep this right leg straight, right? And you want to dorsiflex this ankle. So we're going to try to shorten effectively this entire chain. The hard part about this as well is going to be the balance. So I'm going to have the bottom of the sticks angled in towards me here, only about a couple inches in front of the line of my foot. So the arms are going in that natural arm drive here, right? Now I'm going to generate 60% tension on the sticks, so drive those sticks down to 60%. You should feel all those tissues turn on. Keep your left leg straight, and I want you to hover your right foot off, hold, 3, 2, 1, back down, ease off. Excellent, good. Keep both legs straight. All right, let's go again. Shoulders down, drive those sticks down 60%. Hover that right foot. 3, 2, 1, ease off. One more time, folks. Drive the sticks down. Hover the right foot. 3, 2, 1, ease off. Excellent. Whew. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. I'll kind of turn completely to the side for this one. And again, keeping that down leg straight is really important. All right, and don't bend that up leg either. So if you're having an issue with actually fully extending your knee, you might want to start off lower. Left foot's on. If you see me start to shake and freak out, don't worry. I'll be fine. Just kidding, just kidding. All right, drive the sticks down, 60%. Hover. 3, 2, 1, down. Ease off. Good. Another thing, that down leg, that glute, it's gonna work, right? Should be working. Right, drive the sticks down, hover the foot. 3, 2, 1, down. Excellent. One more time, folks, one more time. Drive the sticks down, hover that foot. 3, 2, 1, down, and ease off. Whew. All right, so hip flexors or rectus femoris tissues should be pretty active here. I'm gonna move my friend here out of the way. Now we're gonna get into the Vitruvian man. So we're gonna be working with hip abduction, but we're also gonna add in hip flexion along with this drill. So typically we'll go out, drive into the stick, and then bring it back in. What we're gonna do, at least today, is we're going to drive out and then bring or slide that foot up, but we need to make sure we keep the knee out, right? We don't want that knee to drive forward here. So we're gonna go with a feet together position. Bottom of the sticks they're gonna vary in distance. Again, if you're somebody that's super mobile, you can bring that distance out, but as usual, it's always good to start close and then move out from there. So my hands are at shoulder height. I'm gonna drive both sticks into the ground at 60% tension. And I'm gonna start on my left side. So I'm gonna hover that left foot off the floor, keep my right leg straight, and I'm gonna bring the outside of my left foot against the stick. The first rep, we're just trying to warm up. So drive that foot against the stick at 60%. Keep your foot dorsiflexed, toes forward. 3, 2, 1, back in, and ease off. Good. Now we're gonna slide that foot up the stick. Hands are out, drive both sticks down 60%, hover the left foot, bring it to the stick and push against the stick. Now we're gonna slide that foot up, keeping the knee out, still creating tension into the stick here. Breathe. We're gonna slowly bring that foot back down. In and ease off. Good. Let's go 2 more. Drive the sticks down, hover the left foot, bring it to that left stick and push. We're gonna slide it up, Keep that knee out. Breathe. Slide it back down. And ease off. Good. One more time. Drop both sticks down. Over the left. Push. Drive against that stick. Slide that foot up. Keep that knee out. Down. Nice and slow. And ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'll actually turn to the side here. So you kind of see what that looks like sliding it up. Again, the challenge is keeping the knee open or externally rotating that hip. So I'm going to drive both sticks down, hover the right foot, bring it to the right stick and push. We're just warming up here. Excellent. Back in. Ease off. Good. Now we're going to slide that foot up the stick. So drive both sticks down, 60%. Hover the right, bring it to the right stick, push. Excellent. Slide that foot up the stick. Back down. Good, and ease off. Excellent. We got two more. Drop both sticks down, hover the right, push it against the right stick, slide that foot up. Down. Good, in, ease off. Let's go one more time, folks. Drop both sticks down, hover the right, bring it to the right stick, slide up, down, back in, ease off. Excellent, good. Now, let's start cooling down. So we're going to go to the pad, so we're going to go with knee down position. We're going to get into stretching out those adductors and opening up the hips. And so from here, we're going to have that left leg out to the side. Now, when we do this, the main objective is to want to squeeze that left glute, because we want to keep that glute active to really open that hip up. But also, as we shift towards that side, you're going to have a tendency to want to turn into it or kind of rotate into it so it's not as demanding on the hip. Whatever you do, think about keeping the front of your pelvis facing forward the best that you can. So I'm going to have the left stick lined up with the heel of my left foot. The right stick's going to be a little across my center line here on that left side. Now I want to drive my toes into the floor. And from this position, I'm going to drive both sticks down. I'm going to drive my left knee back. All right? And I want to keep it that way. I want to keep driving that knee back, and then I'm going to sink into that left hip. And what you should be feeling is a stretch on that adductor. I'm going to come back up, still keeping tension of driving that left knee back. And I'm going to sink into it again. The sticks are here to keep me upright. Come back up. Let's go into it one more time. Sink into that left hip. Breathe. Slowly come out. Ease off. Switch sides. So this is actually a really good drill to do, especially if you're lacking external rotation, to open up those hips, particularly for like a squat day or a deadlift day. So we're gonna drive those toes into the floor, sticks over on the right side, drive that right knee back, and then shift onto that right side. Remember that right glute should be firing. Good, slowly come out. Let's go into it again. Shift into the right side. Drive that right knee back. Good. Back to center. One more time. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out. Excellent. Ease off. Now we're going to go with stretching those hamstrings. So for this, we'll stay on this left knee. We're going to have this right foot forward. And we're going to have that heel driving into the floor here. Now from this position, it's actually one of the more challenging aspects of it is honestly keeping balance. So that back foot is dorsiflex, driving my big toe into the floor. And I'm going to have a soft bend on my right knee here, and I have the sticks on my shoulders. It's going to be very similar to what we did earlier. Now it's going one leg at a time. Now from here, have both hands on the top of the sticks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dorsiflex my right ankle, and I'm going to hinge forward, sliding my hands going down towards the bottom of the stick. I'm going to hold this position here. You should be feeling a stretch on the hamstring. If you don't, you might have to manipulate how much knee bend you actually have. You might need to straighten your knee out a little bit more, or you might need to bend your knee a little bit more. Now from here, still keeping that ankle dorsiflexed, I'm going to drive my right heel into the floor at about 20% tension. And now I'm going to rotate my hips side to side. So I'm going to rotate at the hip, and I'm going to externally rotate. So my foot is going to follow suit, rotating that foot outwards. And then I'm going to rotate internally, so foot rotates inwards. Then external, internal. We're just flossing those tissues here. External, good, internal. Back to center. And I'm going to slowly come up, ease off, bring that right foot in, and now we're going to switch sides. So now I'm going to have my left foot forward. Again, that left heel is forward. Bottom of the sticks are angled out far in front. Okay. So again, slight bend to that left knee, and I'm going to hinge forward, going down towards the bottom of the sticks here. Breathe. Now we're going to lightly drive that left heel into the floor, 20%, and now we're going to start rotating. So externally rotate that hip. Good. Internally rotate the hip. Externally rotate. Good. Internally rotate. One more time each way. Externally rotate. Good. Internally rotate. Back to center. Slowly come up. Ease off. Good. We're going to kick this over to the side. So now we're going to get into the human flag. So we're going to go with a relatively wide stance, wide as whatever's comfortable for you. I'm going to have the bottom of the sticks on the inside of both feet here. Now, we're going to go on to stretch those anterior tissues. We're also going to get into a little bit of a T-spine stretch here. So from here, I'm going to have my hands roughly about face height. You can always adjust your hands up or down to whatever's comfortable for you. And now from here, I'm going to sink my hips back and drive my hands out. Try to get my torso towards the floor. Again, it's very similar to the T-spine stretch we did earlier. Now what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to squeeze my glutes hard and extend my hips forward, driving my hands back. Keep those glutes tight. Then I'm going to come back forward, hands forward, hips back. Good. Squeeze those glutes. Drive those hands back, hips forward. Excellent. One more time. Hands forward, hips back. Squeeze those glutes. Slowly ease off. Good. We're going to place one stick down. We're going to get into a little bit of a bow and arrow. However, we're going to do a little bit of a different version today. We're going to go with a relatively wide stance. So we want to go with about roughly a shoulder width stance. You can go a little bit wider if you'd like, toes forward. I'm going to have the bottom of the stick on the inside of my left foot. So this is going to be a little bit more of an intense stretch or variation of the bow and arrow. Now the direction that we're driving the stick in is going diagonal. So we're going down this direction here. Left hand is still roughly about waist height here. Right hand's gonna come up over the top, thumb facing down. You're gonna notice you're gonna get a lot of lateral flexion here already to start. Now from here, I'm gonna drive the stick down into the floor, driving my hips away, and now I'm going to extend my left hand down. Breathe. Slowly come out. Excellent. Rotate the stick a bit. We're going to do that again. So drive the stick into the floor, drive those hips away, extend that left hand down and out. Breathe. Ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to switch sides. So sticks on the inside of my right foot here. Right hand's roughly about waist height. Left hand comes up over the top. Thumb facing down. I'm going to drive the stick into the floor, drive my hips away, extend that right hand down. Ease off. Nice and easy. Rotate the stick. Let's go one more time, folks. Drive the stick into the floor with both hands. Extend those hips out. Then drive that hand down. 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off. And excellent. That, friends, concludes today's stick mobility class. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for today's class. Hope everybody had a fun one. I will be sure to catch you all next week. As usual, stay safe. Have a good one.